We've done their 9 to 5 rallies up now to 6 o'clock.
Yo, welcome to Zero Credibility. I'm your host, Peter. I'm joined today with Justin.
Hello.
And we got a special guest, straight from Romania, Flory.
Hi.
You want to tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. My name is Florentina. I'm from Romania. I came to Australia on an exchange. I'm almost 22.
What do you study?
International Studies in the Netherlands.
Uh-huh.
Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
Yeah, I do.
Just leave, man. Just leave.
Right,
Why do we?
Justin.
Why
we
do we
accept everyone here. Safe space. It's a safe space. No, Justin. All right. Today we're going to start off with a topic that's close to your heart. We're going to talk about Romani people, or gypsies, as many people wrongly call them, right? Is it wrongly?
It's debatable.
So
I've read things that said it's wrong. I think I read things that don't say anything about it. So
okay.
All right, so for people that don't know, because I personally don't know too much about Romania. I know it's a Eastern European country in the world, but that's probably the extent of my knowledge. Why don't you give us a bit of background around Romania, and then we'll move into, I guess,
the gypsies.
Yeah, gypsies in
woman.
Romania, and
I'm sorry.
yeah, and all that sort of stuff. So Romania, what's cool about it? I think it's under monarchy, isn't it? There's a king. Is that right?
yeah, there is, but it's not very.
No one gives a fuck about him.
Everybody loves him, but he doesn't have much power.
Right. So it's more.
It's like UK.
Yeah. What's the word? Not ceremonial. It's more.
It's just a symbolic.
Yeah.
monarchy.
It's more
Yeah,
symbolic.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's this term.
There's actually a word.
Yeah. There's this term gypsies, which I'm sure people who have traveled to Europe have read and heard those warnings before.
Yeah, definitely,
it's
especially
like-
in Western European
Yeah,
countries.
like careful of the gypsies.
Yeah.
They'll rob you, or they'll cheat you. They'll throw their baby at you. I've heard that one before.
Dude, you just
Have
need
you
to-
not heard of the scam?
No.
So in the middle of like Paris or whatever, right? Or somewhere in Italy maybe. I don't know. But I've heard this scam, right? Where there'll be a lady and she'll be holding her newborn baby and she'll come up to you and she'll say, "Oh, do you mind just holding my baby, because I need to go and she needs to use her hands to, I don't know, like pick something up off the street or something." And then if you go no, then she'll just throw the baby at you. And because you're like, shit, it's a baby, right? You'll go catch it. And when you go catch it, they'll pickpocket you.
What?
I was like,
And would they take the baby back?
I think it's like a fake baby.
Oh, right.
So I'm
shit.
like, that is some pretty...
So
Excellent.
what happens if you do take the baby willingly?
It's like I think it's like a doll or some shit. It's
Basically,
like a fake
you
baby.
take your hands are occupied so they can reach into your pockets and skid-a-pap.
Yeah, because you have no idea, right?
Yeah.
That is very creative and
It's very creative.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you not watched? Did any of you watch the movie Snatch? The one where Brad Pitt plays the gypsy.
Yeah, I have. It's long. It's relatively old movie, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great movie. He plays a gypsy, and he does all these scams throughout the movies, trying to scam people for money.
Yeah. But tell us about gypsies in Romania, and their, I guess, do you know how they got there, or why, or why they have this reputation now and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Well, yeah, to some extent I do. So they're nomads. They travel. There's a big community in Romania. And I think because their name is Roms, they're very much and often associated to Romania. So everybody thinks of gypsies when they think of Romania. We're the opposite. So why they're this way? I think I don't know a lot, because they're often a very close community to the outside.
Right.
They have their own traditions. I was actually reading about it last night, and they don't legalize their marriages more often than not. They don't legalize. Like, they have their own marriages. Usually they're between families, and they're marriages for power.
So they have that very like Asian, like they're married to family status kind of.
Yeah,
thing,
they do
yeah.
that often. And sometimes they use witchcraft to like determine whether the marriage will work and things like that. I watched a Vice documentary about this.
Okay, fuck Vice, but okay.
What else? They're very marginalized in Romania.
Yeah,
very.
from the stats I've researched, they make up 1% of the whole European population.
But
and
how
they're
about
scattered around?
in terms of a minority in Romania? Are they a very large minority?
I wouldn't say no. They're not very large,
Right.
but I mean, yeah, they're. Whenever somebody talks about gypsies, there's always a negative connotation to gypsies. It's never positive, ever. I maybe my friends who traveled abroad and then they can see from the outside the situation. They can say, yeah, you know, gypsies are very creative people and things like that. But when you're inside and you live with gypsies and you see different things, it's like, no, gypsies are bad. They steal. They do things. So we
Yeah.
also perpetuate this.
Of course, look at all the film culture. Like all the film culture portray them as like being like swindlers and like
Yeah.
conmans and like you know, like I remember like the Snatch film which I referenced. All Brad Pitt did was just con his way throughout the whole film, and yeah, it's just very. It's like that's all I know as well. Like that's all I know, and like even in Borat, right?
Do not fear me, Gypsy. All I want from you is your tears.
He's the worst example you could have picked.
Yeah, but I mean like. It's just a very common theme for gypsies to be like these type of characters in all these movies.
Yeah, because I think gypsies sounds very mysterious and
It sounds cool.
I mean,
it sounds, I guess, yeah.
It's a cool word.
I mean, I think in a way, like my first sort of knowledge of gypsies came from actually the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Isabella, I think that's Esmeralda.
Yeah.
Esmeralda was a gypsy, and you know when you watch the movie, I mean you're a little kid and you watch the movie, you know it seems like, you know she's the heroine in the movie, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I didn't know until later that gypsies have this sort of negative
stigma
connotation about them.
Yeah.
But why are gypsies sort of always, or rather, is there that there's some sort of feeling or assumption from people that gypsies are Romanian?
Oh, okay. So
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that?
yeah, because they're. I mean,
You
okay.
mean,
So
the general world thinks all gypsies come from Romania.
sorry.
Do all people think gypsies come from Romania? Or
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
I always
I
find
don't.
myself like explaining to people. I'm like, gypsies are not only in Romania. You can find gypsies in the U.S. You can find gypsies.
Yeah, you can find
everywhere.
gypsies anywhere, man.
They're nomads, so
Yeah,
they
then-
didn't
yeah.
stay in one place.
But why do you think there's this like like Romania equals gypsy?
Because their name is, it sounds like Roma are Romanian. So I can understand why
No,
someone
but
who
gypsies
doesn't
have
know.
no link to gypsies.
It doesn't matter because people don't know. You know, when you say, oh, Roma, oh, they're probably from Romania, and they associate with that. And it's because, so after the 1990s, they were called Țigan in Romania. And that's a Greek word, and then they changed it to Roma. And that's where the confusion started. That's where people stopped assuming that gypsies are nomads and they're Romanians.
Okay.
Right. Are there different like so is gypsy like just an umbrella term, or
Yeah,
is it
it
like
is.
a race, or is it like what sort of? I'm just struggling, I guess, to
It
really
is umbrella
understand.
term because there's subsets like these Romani people have been around for like there's a long history, right? 1,000 years from my research, and
Yeah.
they're like different types and they look different in different places, right? Like there are gypsies that look like really white, and there are gypsies that look like real Indian. Because like there's
They
from
descend-
my research, it seems like the Romani umbrella term covers people from different parts of the world that migrated into Europe, and where Europe was this mixing pot, essentially where all these people meet or whatever, and they've never been included into whatever countries they migrate
they
to.
haven't.
So like that's why when you use the word nomad, I was like, okay, that's one of the better words to explain who these people are, because they never really integrate themselves with the country, the main culture or the main race of that particular country, right? Because
Yeah.
from my research, like there's history showing that a lot of these Romani people come from northern India, and they trek all the way through the Balkans and everything, all the
Yeah.
way through Europe, and they never really undertake the main culture or integrate well into the culture of the country they are in, and they were there were people from the other side, like from Africa, like the Middle East, that move into across Europe as well, and then that's why there's this umbrella term gypsy, and that's why there's all this confusion about these gypsies, because the gypsies in Romania are very different from the gypsy in Ireland and everything else, from my research.
I wouldn't know that,
Yeah.
but I was reading as well that sometimes in different European countries, gypsies or Romas are associated with Egypt, like coming from
Yeah,
Egypt.
Egypt. Yeah.
But
So-
that's not always true.
Yeah,
but they
but-
just assume, they just leave it be, and they're like, yeah, we're from there. We'll let
Yeah.
you think that.
So let's focus on gypsies in Romania.
Yeah.
So usually, what type of religion do they follow, or you don't know? Was it witchcraft?
I think it's Orthodox. They are usually Orthodox. It's the general,
Yeah.
religion of the country.
Yeah.
In terms of religion, I don't know because I have virtually no gypsy friends, no Roma friends.
Do they go to school?
They
do they
but
live at like a normal room?
No.
Okay,
No.
very different, right?
There's a very small amount of people that go through high school and a much smaller amount of Roma that go through university. And it's also because they're so, like, I remember there was an article and it said that, oh, this Roma girl, she made it to university, and it was such a big thing because you don't see that. They're also very, like, stigmatized and marginalized in schools and universities. Everybody makes fun of them. I remember having...
So it's the same like Aboriginal people here, right, Justin? I would assume. I don't know. Is it different?
I mean,
don't know.
I want to hear more before I make any
claims.
any analogies.
Comparisons?
Yeah, any
Okay.
comparisons.
I
Sorry,
don't
go
think
on.
it's the same... I don't think it's the same. It's not the same history.
How are gypsies in Romania viewed? I guess you alluded to it slightly earlier, where they're also viewed a bit negatively amongst the general public in Romania.
Very negatively.
How are they viewed politically in Romania in terms of, are they seen as a marginalized group that needs help, or are they seen as a group that maybe we would be better off without, or something like that?
The latter sounds more like it because okay, for example, I lived in this neighborhood and I remember there was a community behind my block.
Yep.
And they would interact, like they would come over. Sometimes they'd ask for things like food or can you help us with this and that. And I became friends with two of the girls. And then they moved them. And they moved them outside of the city so that they can't interact with anyone else.
Who's
and they've
they?
done this in more than one city.
Government?
The government.
Right.
Integration, and that's like an
They-
integration thing.
Yeah, and they're already marginalized, so you move them out of the city somewhere. They move them out of the city. You can't even access it properly. Nobody goes in that area anymore. So it's very hard for them to access the city as well.
Right. So the Romanian government is not
No, I don't.
sympathetic towards.
There's NGOs that are working towards that.
Right.
But yeah, no, I don't think they're actively trying to integrate the Roma community.
Right. Okay.
I think they're trying to. Our last president, he was trying to say that. He actually said it. He's like, it's a big problem that Romas are associated with Romania. He was trying to distance Romania from the Roma community.
Right. And is that true for? I'm assuming it's there's more than one political party in Romania. Is that true for both parties, where they both have the same thoughts on this issue, or no?
I don't know.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Damn.
But I think it's a general agreed upon opinion.
Right.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
That we're not gypsies, and everybody tries to make it clear. And
So I make a real clear distinction in the world that these guys aren't like indigenous Romanian people.
yeah, but at the end of the day, they've been there
For ages,
a very
yeah.
long time, so you can't say they aren't.
But
But
in today's nationalistic
they're not.
climate,
So I'm not sure if you know this, but because you mentioned they're nomadic, right?
Yeah,
So do they have? Are they citizens of?
Romania.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have passports that say they're Romanian. And that's one of the biggest problems for the community. They're like, yeah, they have the passports and they have the ID cards that say they're Romanian, but they're not really,
Yeah.
And everybody's really enraged by that because they travel abroad, and then, as you've probably heard, like Paris and Italy, those are the main places where they go and they beg or steal.
Yeah. Apparently, and ever since when Romania was included into the EU, it led to an influx of these gypsies across Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say they lead a nomadic lifestyle, is that still the case today compared to before?
I don't know.
Right. Just because I'm thinking, if they're nomadic, right, and you're saying how there was a community of gypsies that lived behind you when you were younger, and the government moved them out from there to somewhere else, does that really matter? Because if they're nomadic, they're going to move anyway.
Yeah.
No, I think there's a community that will always be there in Romania.
Right.
They're not nomads in the sense that they go from country to country every few years.
Right.
There's
right.
a community there, and it's probably always going to be there. It's also kind of part of the culture now because I mean, they're very talented people. So, for example, we have a lot of artists.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of, the differentiate between, in Romania, differentiate between people who listen to gypsy music and people who don't. And then you make fun of the people that listen to gypsy music.
What's gypsy music like?
Does it slap? Like, is it good?
It's called manele.
Really?
It has a lot of influences from like Middle Eastern music.
Oh, me and Justin are going to go visit Romania one day.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Let's go visit some gypsy woman.
Hey.
What? What?
Oh,
We're trying. What? Justin is like watching his mouth, holding his mouth. Why don't you want to visit? Okay, when my brother. Okay, for those who don't know, Flory is my brother's girlfriend as well. So he went with you to your hometown. Did he like meet any of these gypsies?
I think so, yeah. I can't really remember, but I think he's seen it. I think he's seen gypsies. I mean, it's not like they're hiding. They're part of Romania.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, no, I just wanted to know how evident, like, is it? Do you like if you go walking down the streets of Bucharest, would you?
Yeah,
see them?
sometimes because they also wear it and they flaunt their traditional wear, which is different from the Romanian traditional wear.
Okay, so you can tell a gypsy when on the street when you see one. Like, it's quite easy to spot them because you said they flaunt their traditional wear.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Like you can if they're wearing their clothes, the women have really colorful dresses.
Okay.
And they wear these like metal what's
They
it
wear a
called?
lot of, like,
Coins.
all these coins.
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah. So you can see that.
Do they offer
she's
you,
probably
like-
a gypsy?
I can read your fortune or stuff.
I've actually had that. Yeah, in my city when I was younger, there was a woman. She was asking my mom, but in exchange for money. And then my mom's like, okay, yeah. And then
does it work?
I don't know. I don't know.
I got some tarot cards that I can read for you. You want me to do your reading, Justin?
A reading of what?
Tarot cards.
Oh, you mean tarot cards?
Yeah, tarot. It's Tarot, right?
I mean, yeah, that's
Okay, I can. Yeah, I can. I've been learning how to do that. So, ooh.
So
Gypsy woman, let me read you
Yeah.
your fortune.
So coming back to what I was saying earlier, so they're nomadic, but would you say they're nomadic around? Because there's a gypsy community in Romania, so they're nomadic around Romania, or do they tend to stay more in one place these days?
I think I wouldn't know, but I think, like I said before, there's a community in Romania that will always be there.
Right. Yep.
And yeah, some of them, I think, just like every other Romanian person who's trying to make a living, they look for outside options. So they
Right.
travel through European countries and
Yep.
they're like, maybe I should get a job here instead. Because again, I don't know about the employment options they have, but I don't think they're much in Romania considering their status.
Yeah.
So
Right.
going outside, I think they look for better options to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some do beg, some do steal whenever they get abroad.
Yeah. Okay, but I guess getting to maybe the best question. What is your personal view on gypsies?
Why do you look away, Flory?
Because I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's fine. I feel like
It's a
it's
safe
probably
space.
a
You tell the
complex
truth.
issue that needs due consideration.
Yeah.
You know.
It's quite safe. You can say whatever you want here. Like, if Justin doesn't like someone, Justin will say it like he doesn't like someone.
No, because that's the thing. I grew up thinking gypsies are bad, but at the same time, I remember making 2 or 3 friends that were gypsies, and I had a nanny at that time, and she was telling me like, "Don't hang out with them; they're bad people."
Yeah.
But they were just people. They were just kids, trying to play, and we were playing together, and I had no problem as a
Then
child
bam,
doing
they
that.
steal your Barbie doll. I'm just kidding.
That actually happened once.
Oh, see?
You have many treasures. Who did you rob for this?
But
Just
no,
kidding, I'm
but
just
that
kidding.
was one girl. That was one girl.
I just went for a high percentage
It doesn't
shot
mean
and
that
just
they
saw-
all do that.
Yeah, okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, that's generalizing. So as I grew up having friends that were gypsies, and my mother also had gypsy friends, and she would often help them.
Yeah.
But as you grow older, you see them beg sometimes, and you just think, is this all they do? And when I went out of Romania and
It
I
could be a
left,
culture thing, right? Like I think from my research, like you said, like they're usually marginalized
They're very marginalized.
All across Europe.
Yeah.
So that's why they always have to look for external options. That's why there's a big, no, I don't know the exact number, but there's like a big proportion of them that travel around Europe a lot just to look for opportunities. To
Yeah, I
work.
think.
And then there will be the group that, which you said, that will stay put, and have that gypsy community within that country. You said, like for example,
Yeah,
Romania,
no,
and
I'm
then
just
Paris, and
thinking.
then Ireland, and US.
Sorry, go on. Just coming back to what you were mentioning earlier. So you had this. So when you were a kid, you had gypsy friends.
But often, there's adults that come in and say, "Be careful."
Yep.
They might steal. They might do this, and they didn't.
Yeah, and then you were mentioning. So then after you left Romania.
After I left Romania, I realized, and I read a bit more about it, and I realized that they're a community that's very marginalized again, and I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a that's why they do this kind of thing. I think that there's a small, or I don't know how big of a group that, sometimes go abroad and steal. I don't know how big the groups are because, again, they travel a lot.
And then sensationalized news,
Yeah.
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 Sensationalism in news today. Who knows?
But I think when I was away and when I look from the outside now, yeah, I think they should be given more chances, more support. The government should do a bit more work about it because I was reading that until they get married very early. That's part of their community
Culture.
Yeah.
It's part of their culture. Okay.
So they don't attend school, so it's much harder to be educated. It's much harder to get out of the cycle.
So that brings in the argument that what if they don't want to integrate?
Yeah.
What if they like the government tries to help them, like say, oh, okay, you send your kids to school, everything, and then things will be better, and you have a job, and they just don't. They refuse to, what's that word? Conform.
Yeah.
And
I think they're very.
What's the argument against that then? Like, the argument against why should the government try to accommodate?
Because they're part of. I mean, they're an ethnic minority in Romania. They're part of Romania. You can't just dismiss them, which the government.
But
has
they're a
done.
minority. So what? Okay, let's just say if the government, because the government doesn't have unlimited funds, right? And if you have to implement a system that benefits usually the majority, that's usually how the government usually tries to do it, right? You try to help majority of the people, and there are some people that
they have helped.
Yeah.
They've built.
Then there's no problem then.
There is, because the way they have helped, in which they have helped, is they build places for them to live in, but the places are outside of the city.
So you believe they need more integration to get people to...
Yeah, because...
Yeah, so I can understand. It's a bit like... not Malaysia, but Malaysia in a sense where like... not Malaysia, maybe like Australia where like... Not Australia. Basically places where people of their own race live with themselves and, like... Where all these races are like usually not segregated, but they just live within their own community, and don't interact with each other, and that leaves a room of, would you call it racism or?
Well, I think you've said something quite. I'll use the word interesting, where you're saying that should the government bother to help this minority if they are by definition a minority, and it ultimately, I think that is a very interesting way to put the question, because it depends on your view of what government of the role of governments in countries. So I think some people would view the role of government in countries to help its people.
Yeah.
Now, if you come back to what we said earlier around the question, are these gypsies Romanian citizens?
Yep.
And the answer is yes. Yeah. So doesn't the government have a responsibility to help its citizens, regardless of their race?
Yeah. No,
Why does race matter in this sense?
It's not about... I'm not saying it's race. I'm saying what if it implements a system, the best system possible to help most of the people there. And there's just this percentage of people that just doesn't seem to fit, but that's the best system possible right now. That's what I'm trying to say.
The best system... What is the best system possible, though? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. So no, I mean, like I'm just posing it. Like, what if they tried to help them, as in like, oh, send these kids to school and everything, and they just don't.
There is one thing. There is an incentive for them to send their children to school because they get this amount of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sometimes happens, but
But
it's
it doesn't
still,
work.
They're not. They don't. Yeah, the statistics of gypsies going through high school, I think, also because of their traditional upbringing, and also because they're so stigmatized, is very low.
So that's what I mean. Like, see, they do try to give these, like from what we just found out, they do try to encourage them to go to schools to try to break this so-called cycle.
But
where
upper education, not a lot. I don't see, or I don't know of. Maybe there is. There isn't a lot of efforts put into, engaging this community into higher education.
Yeah. Well, I think it's sort of difficult to say because, while Flory, you've mentioned that there's this sort of grant for, I guess, gypsy kids to go to school, you did also mention earlier that politically, like, there is no real effort by the Romanian public sector to really try to, there's no conscious initiative to try to integrate them or to make them part of the society. So, while I understand that there's this grant, it then becomes a question of how, is it sort of a token sum? Is it a token gesture?
Every kid gets that.
Right. So every kid gets it. In Romania.
It's not just Roma kids that get it. It's
Right.
every kid gets it.
Right.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was reading about it, and the authors of the paper I was reading, they're like, well, it's more of a reason for them to come to school if they have that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, Peter, in the sense that, probably you're going along the lines of why should the government help you if you refuse to cooperate? But
Yeah.
my question is one step before that, which is there even a gesture made to, hey, is it even brought to the table where someone's gone, hey, we want to help you, let's cooperate?
Rather than just like, okay, if you come to school, we'll give you money, like that kind of attitude, kind of thing. Like,
it needs to be in my eyes, and there needs to be if there is a genuine intent to integrate these people within the community.
Yeah.
There needs to be some signal from the public sector.
Yeah.
That, hey, all right, we understand that you are a marginalized group in our society,
And
we want
wanna
to help you.
Yeah.
Tell us how can we help you, and let's start the conversation.
Yeah.
For me, based on what I understand during this whole conversation, that question hasn't even been asked or hasn't even been put forward.
Yeah.
Whereas you're saying the next step, which is, someone says, all right, we want to help you, and the party across the table goes, no, actually, we don't want to.
Okay.
I think that is, could potentially be a problem, but step one hasn't even been done yet.
Yeah.
There have been efforts to. There have been efforts,
Right.
but I think there could be more done
Right. Okay.
to integrate. And yeah, just like the example I gave before this, that instead of, you're helping them, but you're helping them by giving them housing, and that housing is outside of the city. And how is that integrating?
Right.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the elections and stuff, are the gypsy like kind of topic or agenda, is that a big deal?
Not that I've heard of, no.
No. Okay.
I think because the general opinion is that, gypsies are marginalized, they steal, they do bad things. So, no. Why would they be part of the discussion?
So obviously you'd probably look into it. Like, I mean, I'm not sure, but I would be looking into it. If that's not the case, the first step is to try to break that like stereotype, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's very ingrained.
Okay.
I mean, I think
Even in your generation.
No, not as much, but the general generation,
So
yeah.
that's a very common thing. Then.
I mean, I think that the fact that, this group of, there's this marginalized group, and, according to, there's a stereotype where they rob, they steal, they're poor, they beg, all that sort of stuff. And they're not even in the conversation from a political perspective in terms of an issue or having a policy. That in itself is, some would argue, worse than being a policy issue, right? Like, for example, right, and this is an extreme example, in America, the African American community is an issue, right, where it's a political issue, where there's policy and there's rhetoric by both parties against, things like police brutality, black on black violence, all that sort of stuff is an issue, and it comes up during times of political campaigning.
Elections, yeah.
But if this gypsy community is so marginalized and so, how to say,
But there's like silence.
discriminated against, and
Yeah.
they're not even acknowledged at all,
That's worse. Yeah.
isn't that worse?
Yeah.
What's the population percentage? Do you know of
No.
Romania? Is it much? You reckon?
Let's look it up.
Let's look it up, man. Gypsies, Romania, population. What? That's how I'm typing in my Google search.
3% of the population.
That's not.
According to the 2011 census, 3% of the population.
Yeah, that's what I found too.
Do you think it increased?
Click
They
this.
do have a lot of children at a very young age. So
Oh, second. So we just found a new stat. What country has the highest gypsy population? Turkey is first. And I think that's because of geography.
What's the population of Romania?
19 million in
So-
2017.
In 2019 million. The stat says there's 1.85 million gypsies in Romania.
Yo,
That is almost 10% of the population.
That's a lot.
That's a big chunk of people.
That's a lot.
That's a big chunk of people. If these stats are to be
legit.
trusted and to
Yeah.
be legit,
It's from top 5
It's from
of
Google.
anything. Top 5 of anything.com.
okay, does not seem like a very legitimate source.
Whatever. There's zero credibility, dude.
But
Yeah, but the reason why Turkey is higher is because that's the gateway into Europe from
yeah,
Asia.
right, okay.
If-
All right.
From my research.
All right. Maybe to sort of wrap this topic up, Flory, what do you like? You say that you probably are on the side now of let's do something or let's help or
Yeah.
whatever. What would you do?
Oh. I think I would have campaigns to let people know that gypsies are also people and they're part of our community as much as they're so maybe just try to untangle this
Break the
stereotype. Yeah.
So awareness.
Which is very hard to, and I think that's if
Sorry,
people
you know what?
cooperate.
You just go back to Romania and you start reading fortune tellers yourself and say, I'm not gypsy.
But then that's a whole different conversation.
All right, let's keep going.
So you try to raise awareness.
Yeah, I think raising awareness, talking about it, and just telling people, hey, they're also people. Maybe we can integrate them more.
I know what needs to happen. We need gypsy music to break through into the mainstream.
It has.
We need Drake to
it
fucking
has.
make some-
It's so much more popular than Romanian artists.
Really?
Like,
Did they hit the charts in Romania?
yeah.
Yo,
Oh,
yo,
they have
all right, yo.
great music.
What's the hottest gypsy song right now?
I don't know because I don't listen. It's
What's
called
the
Manele.
All right. We're gonna look that shit up on YouTube right now. What's the hottest gypsy song that you know?
How do you spell Manele?
Mane.
If you don't be a closet Manele music listener.
I am not. I used to be as a child. Like I really liked it, and people used to make fun of
All right,
me.
what was your favorite song as a child?
I don't know. I don't remember. I was super
Is
young.
this
But
Kolas
these are like,
Manele? Is this
and they're
is this
super
gypsy
like,
music?
yeah.
Yeah,
And it
go
says 3 hours of Manele.
Yo, 3 hours on loop. Okay, so they're in Spain. All right.
Is this Manele music?
Yeah.
Yo, this shit's dope.
You haven't heard anything.
I just heard the intro. That's enough. I'm sold.
They're very talented.
Oh yeah, this
people.
guy looks like a gypsy.
Why? Because he has a hat. He's wearing like Converse.
So the same people that wear a hat and Converse are gypsies.
Yeah, he looks like a gypsy to me.
Yo, can we get to like the banging chorus part? This
Very
Oh,
gypsy. But you know what's the thing? I was talking to my friend about it. You always have this
that's-
music at
that's-
wedding parties.
really?
Like weddings, birthday parties. That you can dance to it.
That's true. That's
yeah.
true.
Let me say, this guy is a gypsy music superstar. Is he terrible at
Yeah.
That's
There's
quite,
a lot of Romanians that listen to gypsy music, but then when it comes to talking about them as people, you're like, oh, gypsies suck.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's like a bit like America, but like you know how like they think black people suck, but they love their music, kind of thing.
I mean, it's probably a tenuous link, but I can see why you say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like maybe who knows? Gypsies might be cool, like how black people are cool nowadays. I mean, Africans, Americans.
Right. No, I can see why the gypsy music is popular because, like you said, like it's something that it's
It sounds Middle Eastern.
Yeah, because they have a lot of
yeah.
Middle Eastern influences.
Get a belly dancer, boom. As in like it's good
They
mu-
have belly dancers.
There you go. That music slap. I told you.
They have great music. I think that's the biggest like thing that Romanians listen to Manele, and then they hate on them as people. So you can listen to their music, you can enjoy it, you can have it at your weddings, at your parties, but then when you go out there and you're like, oh fuck gypsies.
culture vouchering their music and just disregarding the humans. Ooh.
This sounds like a topic we'll get back to in
Yeah.
45 minutes.
All right, let's go. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's get a pep. Wait, 2 secs. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Russia. Justin's a fan, huge fan apparently. We're gonna talk about how
Putin's my dog, man.
he's your G. So we're gonna talk about how journalists.
Putin been doing it since the 1980s, man.
We're gonna talk about how journalists. Well, are you a big Red Alert fan or something? And you always play the Soviets.
No.
We're gonna talk about how journalists that discuss touchy subjects in Russia just disappear.
What is the reason that this topic is? We're discussing this topic this week.
Tell us, Flory.
I'm specialized in Russia and Eurasia in uni.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's where most of my university
Yeah.
part of it is focused.
can I ask?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question before we delve into this topic?
Sure.
Why Russia? Why are you so interested in
I
Russia?
actually started. So you have to pick an area in your second semester of the first year. So I was in between South and Southeast Asia because it
Yep.
was Malaysia. I lived in Malaysia for so long, and I kind of wanted to do that because I missed Malaysia.
Yep.
And I started it. I started learning Indonesian, and I wasn't so into it.
Yep.
And then I just realized that I've always really wanted to, learn about Russia and
Yep.
the whole area, and then learn
Learn about the
Russian.
motherland.
Well,
What?
it's not the motherland. We were a communist country. Romania was a communist country, but it's
Was it part of the Soviet bloc?
yeah.
Yeah. The motherland. Hence the motherland.
There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of things that studying about it. We study about culture. You study about the history. There's a lot of things I could relate to, especially in the language, because you also study the Russian language. So
Niet.
yeah, and there's so many words that I
Spasiba.
know in Romanian that sound the same.
Right.
And it was so like whoa.
Right.
Da,
Okay.
da.
So that's why.
da.
Okay.
Da,
no.
you say da in Romanian too for yes.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like studying your cultural roots, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So, all right, coming back to Russia.
I want to say something. When I did some research on like list of journalists killed in Russia,
It's long.
it's fucking long. I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be like 30. It was like 100 or something. I was like,
I was
it started from the I don't even know this guy's name. The leader before Putin. Is it Yeltsin?
Yeltsin, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, jeez.
Yeah, but I think after
Like-
after the Soviet Union collapsed and media had more freedom, people started talking about different things that you couldn't talk about before.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they got to touchy subjects, and like they would talk about it. For example, I was reading about Anna Politkovskaya.
Yeah.
She's-
That's the most famous one.
Yeah, that's the most famous case because she was doing research into Chechnya and what Russia was doing there, and Russia was doing great things in Chechnya, and she was shot in her house. She was shot on the way to going to her house in the elevator.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it started after the 1990s.
Right. So,
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
your? I mean, I would assume your view would be you're not in support of this.
Well, no, but
I mean, I think it's quite easy to say yes. She's definitely not in support of this.
no, I'm not.
She's not. No. Okay. Let's just make it clear for the listeners. Me and Flory, we don't like Putin. Justin obviously is
No,
a fan.
I don't like or not like him.
Okay, I don't like Putin. I'm alone then.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Do I need to say more? People just die. Like people just like die left, right, and center.
I mean,
Just
people.
was-
People die.
I-
People die under George
Speaking
Bush.
on his
People
name.
die under Barack Obama. People die.
No, I
yeah.
mean just on speaking on his name.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like who knows, man? Maybe if I'm in Russia, say, yo, what he does, I believe is totally against whatever A B C D yada yada. I might just disappear. And like all these stories about how these people die, they're like mob hits.
Yeah.
Some guy walking down the parliament steps, gets shot in the head. This guy drinking coffee dies from poisoning. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? He could get you from anywhere. Even like KGB defectors, they're still getting attacked by all these nerve agent attacks by today. And obviously it's from run by the Kremlin, the state or whatever.
All right, I have a good question about Russia. So what you're saying essentially, Peter, is that you don't like Putin because he is what's the word? So-called, I guess, a dictator. In a lot of countries, I think, where there are dictators.
Is it dictator? I think I'd say he kills his dissidents. Okay, like dictator in a sense where like basically no one else could be president. Yeah, okay.
He considers, I just want to put it out there, he considers Russia to be a guided democracy.
Right.
Yeah,
So like Singapore.
I guess.
So it's just a nice way of saying dictator.
I mean, they can say whatever they want to
Okay.
say. Like, I mean, the official name of China is the People's Republic of China, where
Yeah.
we know that's just not a republic. But
It's
anyway,
decided by 100 people out of a billion.
Yeah,
and
but-
these 100 people all think the same.
But you know, I think in general,
In
in countries where there are dictators or there are people who are in singular power, and I'm particularly thinking of Middle East, Africa, those countries where this sort of political system still exists and is quite widespread. You know, there is a group of very clear dissidents, and there's always this underlying sense, and maybe it's just something that's given to me by the Western media, but there's underlying sense that in general people are generally not that enamored or not that happy with their leader. Whereas in Russia,
yeah, in Russia it's very different.
in Russia, people love Putin.
Yeah, they do.
Is that an impression that is just fed to us by Western media, or is that
No,
true?
I think that's true. I've watched interviews with when there were elections.
Yeah.
And they were talking about Putin, and they're like, yeah, we want Putin. We definitely want Putin. I think I really appreciate or admire how Putin has built this cult of personality around him. And the whole country is, designed around one person,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
great for him. But then what if something happens to him, then what? It
True.
all crumbles down. Because all is built around this one person. Everything, all the institutions, the people.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people make that comparison to North Korea, where although I don't think it's the fairest comparison, where like you said, there's this cult of personality around their leader, but I think in North Korea it's a bit different because there is this series of brainwashing, there's the closing of the economy and all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
which does not allow outside thoughts to come in and
Flow in.
and to provide a different perspective. Whereas Russia, although I understand their media is still state run and all that sort of stuff, they have unrestricted internet access.
Limited. No, they have
Yeah.
limited censorship. Very limited. They tried to block the Russian equivalent of Facebook, Telegram. Do you know Telegram?
Yeah.
Well, Telegram is the Russian
That was
equivalent of
because of
WhatsApp
something-
rather than Facebook.
Okay, WhatsApp, whatever. That they tried to block it, but it was unsuccessful.
But
And
you
they
can
tried
still get your news in Russia. Like you can go read the New York Times. Or
There's
you can go
Medusa, for
Yeah,
example. It's an independent source.
right. And even in spite of all that, it seems that the Russians love Putin.
Yeah.
What do you think is the underlying reason for that? Like why do they love him?
I don't know. I can only explain it by the cult of personality he has built, that it's a strong Russia. and
Strong
Russia
yeah.
needs a strong man.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
Putin
a
fits the role
very
perfectly.
gendered opinion that people have that, for example, there was Sobchak. She was one of the people that were running for elections, and it was a woman.
Yeah.
And in the interviews that I was watching, everybody questioned her because how can a woman run our huge country,
Right.
So yeah, he represents everything that they want Russia to represent: strength, masculinity,
Pride.
yeah,
A
pride.
proud Russia, yeah.
So,
Very
yeah,
proud
he's-
country.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. I mean,
I think Russians see, and not only Russians.
Let's just put it like this. If Putin was to go into a one-on-one fight with any prime leader in the world, I think he'll fuck all of them up.
I think because he'd get someone to shoot them from outside. Yeah.
No, he's ex-KGB trained, dude.
Yeah, he's a very powerful man. So I think
Dude, I think he'll
People
beat me.
like
I
that.
think if it was just me and him, he'll kill me. Just one move. Dead.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know Putin's not a big guy physically.
I know, but he's ex-KGB, dude. You don't know what he's been through.
I've seen him on a horse.
I've seen him swimming. He looks like he's got a good butterfly going on.
I'm sure he's a powerful man.
Yeah, he
What, you
is.
mean physically, or do you mean
I
like?
don't know both.
both. Yeah, he is. That's what. Yeah, dude.
But what was the conversation before this?
I don't know. Suddenly Peter was talking about if he got in a fight with other leaders,
Yeah, but it's true.
Oh.
Like, dude, he practices judo. He's a black belt in judo?
But
or
I
something?
also think that's part of the image he's trying to portray about Russians and Russia in
Yeah,
general.
strong people, yeah.
Yeah, we're a strong community of, group of people.
Strong
And
characters, yeah.
if you fuck with us, then,
Yeah, Russia's trying to be one of the superpowers
Yeah,
of the world.
Kim Jong Il got 18 hole-in-ones in a golf game once. It's the same thing, right? Does Putin really have a black belt in judo? Do you know?
Dude, you know what? Like, looking at him, yeah, I wouldn't fight him. Okay,
See?
that's it.
See? Yeah.
I'll fight Obama. Like, I'll
But
beat
Obama's
Obama.
from the hood, man.
Yeah, he's from Chicago. He was born in Hawaii.
You sure you beat Obama?
I think so. All right. Anyways,
But that's again the image Obama tries to portray himself as
Nice
a
friendly
nice
dude.
guy. Yeah.
then when we go to the house, he just takes a pistol and just pop the cap at me.
I think it's all image. A lot of it is image.
Yeah, it could be. Actually, it could be.
And it
You're right, yeah.
resonates with the people.
So, do you think the ex-KGB thing could be made up propaganda?
No, I'm not saying that. I can.
I can definitely see it being.
Yeah,
XKGB.
I'm not saying it's made up. I'm just saying that it works well.
I
with
remember watching a
the
video that was
picture.
saying he always holds his hand in a bent way because he has a concealed weapon just in case. What? What? Why are you laughing? It's true.
That is some freaking like
Bullshit.
I don't think that's. I mean, if
Oh,
you meet
man.
with other state officials, I don't think it would be good on the protocol to have a weapon with you. Like,
Yeah.
what if you're meeting with the Saudi prince and you
Oh
have
yeah,
a
yeah,
weapon?
no, I
It's
mean,
like a that's like a that's like
That's the stories that are around Putin. He has a weapon with
Yeah,
him
there's all
and he
these-
rides bears and
oh, he fights bears.
so
He
so
just-
like
Or
if
fights them, I don't know.
if any of our listeners watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Mac has this thing about we need to always be prepared for anything. Always be prepared. That's what you're saying pretty much. Putin's just like freaking like, man, I got my hand on my on my gun in my belt, so I'm prepared all the time. That's a bit of a parody, man. That's that sounds a bit.
I swear they were like doing some analysis on Putin, and they were saying that he's like gunslinger gate. Okay, I mean, sorry, I
Okay,
think
but
it's a thing.
Is the Guardian U.S.
British.
British. Okay. That's
Yeah.
all.
So he just holds it like in a way where it's basically okay. Maybe he doesn't have a concealed weapon, but he walks like he's like ready for battle and shit.
I mean,
It's the posture that
Yeah, it's just
like gives you
posture.
that.
It's a power posture.
it's like,
Okay,
if, it's like if you ever met like a Chinese guy who was in the army, it's most evidence when they sit down. Because
they
they are
stand like
freaking
this,
like a stick, like they're like straight up
like
there.
this,
Yeah,
right?
their posture's
Yeah.
straight up, like it's very obvious.
and their feet are like they sit very symmetrically.
Yeah, they sit
and
very
their hands-
square.
and
They
their
sit very
hands-
square. Yeah,
ready for combat.
yeah,
ready for
but they're not
combat.
ready for combat. It's just that's the way they've,
Yeah, so he
It's
is
just whatever.
KGB then. That discipline.
He's also the president of Russia.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
whatever. Anyways, so. Yeah,
so-
let's talk about like the censorship. Let's talk about RT. You want to talk about RT?
Yeah, what about it?
So, what's your take? What is it? Is it a propaganda machine, like insane propaganda machine, or
I mean,
It was.
Sorry, you go.
No, it was. I was reading. It was called Russia Today, and then they changed it to RT. I think it's a way to like, not really know
Put that-
where it comes from.
yeah? So I just want to know what's your opinion on it.
Everyone knows though that RT is run by
the
the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows, it's not a secret.
Yeah.
Like there's no secret.
So, what is it? Is it Russia's mouthpiece or
Of course, it's run by the Kremlin.
done?
Yeah.
All right, did it?
Full stop.
But all right. So you're Romanian. You're proud Romanian, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if
Why are you smiling, Justin?
in a hypothetical world, Putin says, "All right, let's get the Soviet Union back together."
Justin wants this to happen,
we
guys.
Are Romania is very scared of that.
Yeah.
So that's
Dude,
why we
everyone in the
aligned
Eastern
with the
Bloc.
US and we tried to put forces outside because we have something or we share a part of the Black Sea,
Yes.
something that Russia really wants.
Yes.
We have a lot of oil in that Black Sea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's called the Black Sea.
Yeah.
Well, because, I say hypothetically, but it's not, in very recent history, it's not unheard of for Russia to be just like, oh, we just want this piece of this piece of this country
they
back.
did this with
Close your eyes.
Georgia. They did
I
this.
took Crimea, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's our government is. I think our government is worried, which is why it's trying to align with forces like NATO and the US in order to make sure that in case something like this happens.
Well,
where have,
Ukraine is aligned with NATO and the US as well, and that didn't help.
yeah, but we're trying. We're trying.
And wait, so the Ukraine apparently Russia has already infiltrated Ukraine in a way where the Ukraine leader is actually a pro-Russian or something. They're pro-Russian. There's a pro-Russian party in Ukraine, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Ukraine, in my understanding of Ukraine at least, is that they are very, very like Russian,
Yeah.
like very Russian. That's my understanding.
But there's also a portion of people which like want their independence from Russia. Right?
of course,
Yeah.
I just want to know. Do y'all know how big? Who's the majority?
I'm not a Ukrainian.
No, I
Okay.
don't know.
I would imagine a majority.
But
No,
a lot of people don't want that.
yeah, I imagine a majority of people are not keen on
Not for
being.
it.
The
No,
reason they took Crimea is because Crimea, for example, in Crimea. Yeah, Crimea.
The place sounds so scary, don't you
It's
think?
not,
Crimea.
It's not scary.
sounds
It's
scary.
A
No,
place.
Crimea sounds
Yeah,
scary,
it's
right?
like Crimea and Chechnya.
Yeah,
Those sound like scary ass places.
It's
man.
like, hey, let's go on holiday. Let's go for a nice vacation. Yeah, go to Crimea.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of
what-
people-
I mean the word crime is the first 5 letters.
Oh
Right?
my God.
Or like, let's go to Chechnya. It's like Chechnya sounds like a bleak place, man.
Yeah, it sounds like where dreams go to die.
But
So, yeah, the reason why Crimea was kind of easily taken away was because a majority of Russians were there. And also, one of the main reasons Russia wanted that area was because it has its main ports there.
yep.
Yeah, same like China wants the whole South China Sea.
Well,
I mean, it's all a geopolitical play,
yeah.
right? So I don't know. Putin's one of those guys, right? I think for me in the past, I've always felt like, oh, Putin bad. And you know what? I don't deny that there's definitely things that he does where I'm not a fan of. For example, killing journalists. Not a fan of that. But
Not really a fan.
like I can understand in some senses why people like him and why people support him.
Okay.
Like Flory mentioned, I think he's got a bit of a cult personality, and as a politician, I think he's great, honestly.
Yeah.
As a politician.
Yeah, you just kill your opposition. Pop, pop.
Oh, not really.
What? The opposition leader was like killed. Wait, what's the name?
But he doesn't have to do that because people will still.
But
Choose
one
him.
of the opposition leaders was murked by.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's all,
Someone.
and that's all internal, right? But I guess my view is more on his
general-
international relations.
Yeah.
I think he's done very well on an international stage. And by that, I don't mean that the world looks upon him favorably, because that sure as hell is not true. But what I mean is that he's managed to become or remain relevant as a player in the political world.
Yeah.
So if you look historically at the world and who the big power players are, it used to be the British, the massive British Empire, and then, at some point it was like, this is way before, it's like the Ottomans and all that sort of thing. And the Soviets were like big in World War II,
Oh, yeah.
right? With the Germans and all that sort of stuff, right? And now if you look at it, in terms of economic development, like who are the powers in our world today? It's going to be the US, it's going to be China, and it's going to be
Europe.
part of the EU, which is primarily driven by Germany,
Yeah.
right? And Russia has fallen behind economically,
Yeah.
yet they still remain very relevant on a world political scale.
Yeah.
Some people might argue it's because they have
Nuclear
reportedly
weapons.
a big stock of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, nuclear
so that's why they
weapons.
remain
hold the most
politically
guns.
relevant.
They hold the third. Is it the third most guns? Is it most war
They
weapons?
also supply a lot of oil.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
But USA did a bad boss move, but by fucking up with their ruble, their currency.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but I think
He
All
hits
right.
them where they hurt.
all right. Maybe a good question, a good parallel to draw here to get you guys' opinion is Russia and China, right? Actually, let's make it 3 countries. There's Russia, there's China, and there's the US, right? So, what do you think about this argument where people say that when you've got countries the sizes of Russia, China, and the US, 3 of the biggest geographical size countries in the world, that in order to progress, in order to make rapid rapid development, you need essentially not a dictator, so to speak, but a very you need less democracy, so to speak. You need less democracy because that's what's happening in China, right? Where it's essentially one party rule. It's the Communist Party, the CCP. Russia, it's the same. It's essentially one party rule. Whereas the US is a bit different, where there's a bit more democracy.
Yeah.
And you can see countries like China especially, they're just risen up economically. And people say, well, they won't be able to do that if there's a democracy, because a democracy is a system of compromise by definition.
Yeah.
So, but yet people are saying, well, but democracy allows, allows people, like everyone, to move up more equally than, for example, in China, where there's increasing disparity.
Inequality, yeah.
Although I think you can make that argument for America today, but in Russia as well, where there's increasing disparity between the Russian oligarchs and their oil and their business powers and the poorest people.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the best way?
I think both systems work, but it depends on the people, right? In general. Right?
I mean, look at India, right?
Yeah,
India is a massive country as well, and they're a democracy. They're the biggest democracy in the world.
Yeah, the biggest.
I think
29 states, right? 29.
I don't know, some ridiculous amount.
Yeah, 29 states or something, and never mind. It's a very state-strong run democracy.
when it's not a democracy, it's much easier to take decisions and move fast.
Yes.
Because it's, in terms of Russia, it's one person says, let's do this, and they do it. And it's just a top-down model. So yeah, when it is a democracy, it's much harder to make these decisions. They take longer. So yeah.
Do you think,
I don't know if that answers your question.
do you think that's good?
It depends on the person that runs it.
It depends on who is it good for.
Elaborate.
Is it good for the states? I guess it depends if you want to implement a change really fast for your country to do certain things. Yeah, it is good. But is it good for the people? No, I don't think so, because people don't have a lot of say in whatever happens.
Look at China. Like, when... I think China, we can all agree that it's been growing like crazy over the last two decades.
I don't think it's something that needs to be agreed or not agreed. It's in the fact. It's a fact. They can
It's
look
a
at the
fact.
numbers.
Yeah, okay. And it's essentially run by a dictatorship.
Dictatorship is not actually the right word. I
It's a
can't
party.
think, I can't think of the right word.
It's a
but
one-party rule. I
pretty
think that's the
much.
best way.
Pretty
One-party
much,
rule.
Pretty much.
And it seems pretty inefficient. But like what Justin said, there's a growing disparity between the really rich, the middle class, and the poor, the poorest of the poor.
But Chinese people are very happy with their government.
Really?
Yes.
In general.
Yes.
But apparently, when Xi Jinping announced his indefinite rule, the rule change in the government, there was a crazy amount of Baidu searches of immigration out of China.
Potentially. But by and large, my understanding is, by and large, Chinese people were fine with that. Chinese people were, in general, very happy with their government. Very happy with the way things are being done.
Okay. And so...
Whereas the way that Xi Jinping thing was reported in the Western media was, this is terrible. So, there's a very... everyone, since when you're young or when you do your civics classes in school or whatever, right? People say, democracy is the best system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it though?
Probably not. There's probably better. I always thought that if communism worked, it would be great.
Why?
Because everybody would have, a lot of... Okay, I'll give you the example of Romania. A lot of old people think that they wish they had communism back because they had a safe future. They knew that
There's
they will have
security,
it.
the state
Yeah, there's a lot of security in that system. But there's also not, like, for example... Ceausescu, if you guys have heard of him. During his time, he was trying to pay debt off of Romania.
Who is he, sorry?
He used to be the leader during the communist times.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So during his time, while he was trying to pay off the debt, he made people like there was a lot of scarcity in terms of resources. People had to line up, and food was rationed. It wasn't a great time, but people miss it because I think not that time. I think they don't miss that time, but they miss the security of that communism.
The government would take care of the people.
Yeah, because it did in a certain much more than capitalism does. We're talking about democracy though, so.
I mean, but
things,
democracy and capitalism, it goes it goes hand in hand a lot of the time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we would all agree the best mix is like obviously the government needs to have a minimum like provision of public goods and a bit of redistribution of resources. They have a little bit of a role of that, sure. And they have to have a free market as well. I think that's the best combination.
I mean, what you're saying like makes sense in those words, but the reality is that can never happen.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy to say, oh well, the government should provide some goods and the rest should just be a free market. In a real world implementation, that's just not possible.
So what's going on in Australia or America? So is that just a pure 100% capitalism or?
Yeah, of course not.
No,
of course
they
not.
do help from what I know.
Yeah, so now we're arguing the degree, right? The degree of the right mix, or you would say the right percentage. Obviously, okay, I think that would differ in different countries, no? Or
yes, it does, and that is a big reason why there's so much debate these days around the left becoming more left and the right becoming more right.
Yeah.
So, for example, Flora, like you were saying, like some older people in Romania maybe long for that time of communism. What's the view now of this concept of Scandinavian socialism, which is very much
Scandinavia socialism.
And for me, still as I'm trying to learn about it, communism and socialism for me, I still don't really understand where the line is exactly and what the smoking gun difference is. But for example, in Sweden or in Denmark or Norway or whatever, there's I think the big thing is free education for everybody. For university students in Sweden, you get paid to go to university. Your schooling is free. The kids that go to school, they do a lot more outdoor activities because it's funded by the government. Unemployment benefits are very good. Minimum wage there is very high, and that's sort of a system where, at least in the last election with the last U.S. election, Bernie Sanders was campaigning for. He campaigned under the platform of being a social democrat.
Yeah.
There's free healthcare in the Scandinavian countries.
Yep.
It's not, I guess, the same extent of communism where it's like come to this center to get your bread.
It was a very extreme opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But people then say, well, isn't that system in Scandinavia so great?
It is. I have a friend from Finland. Whenever she talks about Finland, what she gets from Finland, that she gets so much, money from Finland to go to university. I'm just like, what? That is not something that exists in my country, and I wish it did.
Okay. I can. I mean, I can see that.
So what's your take?
The money comes from somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it comes from taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can understand the view of people opposing that, where, it's like, why should I be taxed 55% for someone else?
Yeah.
Right? Because I think
you run a business, so you should be like, oh.
No, but it's not about business. It's about your individual personal income tax.
Oh yeah.
So anyone that works.
Yes.
Anyone that works. So
you're here working your ass off, and another guy's benefiting from not working as hard.
Well, that's the criticism against that model, right? And that was the criticism against communism. Why practically it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because communism is probably the more extreme of that system, and it's one where literally anything you do goes to the government, who then redistributes.
Yeah.
So people are, first of all, are not incentivized to work, and second of all, it encourages corruption, right?
Yeah.
Because then.
No, I think corruption.
Because then you start hiding. Because then you start hiding shit.
Yeah.
So the government doesn't know. So they can't take it from me. So I'll start hiding shit.
Yeah.
Right. I do, like backdoor, under the table deals, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where I think it's very. I still don't have a strong opinion about it. I'm still sort of,
Neutral.
thinking about it and making my way through it about what I really think or what I really value. But it's very interesting. And I found it quite interesting when you said, some people in Romania, they sort of look back on those
lot.
times
Yeah.
as good times.
Yeah.
Because there's more
I think
certainty, right?
Yeah, they felt secure. They knew that they will have a place where they will work. I remember my grandpa talking to me about how he was posted. He was a geography teacher, and he knew he will have a job when he finished university. We don't. I don't. I hope I will. I will work hard to do it because that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But wouldn't you say there's like security thing of like where, I mean, I think so. It's very hard to argue, or not argue. I'm not really sure myself, but the way just thinking of it, just fresh off the dome right now, I just think, I would think it's very hard to say that, which way, like it's right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Every system is going to have its positive sides.
Yeah,
and its
that's what I'm
negative
trying
sides.
to get through. So like, yeah,
And there's always going to be people that don't agree with how much they get taxed. I see this in Australia as well.
yeah,
I mean, state election voting's today.
yeah, it is. Who do you have voted for? Just out of curiosity. I didn't.
My
research-
vote doesn't matter.
Okay.
First of all, I can't vote. But second of all, even if I could, my vote doesn't matter.
Same.
Because my constituency is Melbourne.
Fair enough. Go to Greens. All right, let's move on to the next topic then.
Oh, before we move on, any last words on Russia? Any thoughts about Russia? Any bombshells that you want to say? I love Putin, I hate Putin, or I hate Russia, I love Russia.
Justin, just say you love Putin.
No, I mean, I'm sure you have opinions about Russia. If nothing, we can move on. We can cut this part, by the way.
If I love Russia,
Or whatever, anything about Russia or anything.
I'm fascinated by Russia in every sense.
Like
The language is something I'm truly fascinated, and I've always been. And I think it's because I grew up with my mom, who, for example,
does she speak Russian?
No, but when she lived through the communist times, so
Right.
that was the language that was taught in schools, and she always she loved Russian and she wanted to learn Russian. She did it through school, but she didn't get to a point where she would speak it.
Right.
So I grew up with that, and then I really wanted to learn it too because I'm like, oh, it seems so cool, and it sounds so cool to me. I don't think it sounds cool to other people.
Spasiba.
Yeah, it sounds just like we talked about Putin being a powerful man.
Yeah.
It sounds powerful. It sounds like a powerful language.
Yeah, I can still understand what you're saying. Yeah.
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 So I think that's the first thing that motivated me to pick Russia as an area to study through university for like 3 years.
Right. Do you think it has something to do with also maybe subconsciously, but maybe a bit more consciously now, to do with finding out, like I said earlier, going back to your cultural roots, finding out your identity.
My identity doesn't lie in Russia.
Right.
Romania is a Latin-speaking... Romanian is a Latin language.
Yep. Okay. So they use alphabet and all that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't use the Cyrillic
Yeah.
alphabet like Russians do, sorry.
Veritas. Truth.
Yeah, that's a Latin word. You do study, in Romania, you do study Latin as a language, although it's a dead language. It's a norm for every high school student to learn Latin, and every high school student hates it.
So the main language of Romania is
Romanian.
Romanian.
Oh, Romanian, but it has Latin. It's the
The
derivative
roots
of.
are Latin.
So yeah, okay. So that you share words, Latin words, and
Yeah, and if you hear Italian, for example, it's very easy for you to kind of understand
Allora.
Italian, Spanish. There's similar languages.
shout out Aziz.
Yeah, Germanic languages, aren't they?
No, not at all.
Right.
I live in the Netherlands and I understand nothing.
Oh.
Nothing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right. All right. Hold on. Before we move on, tell me something cool in Romanian. Like Italians have their allora, which, doesn't really, I don't know what it means, but
It
it's
means
like,
well.
Sort of. They use it for like all
It's
sorts
well.
of things, right?
Allora, well.
Or like, is there like a funny like saying or an interesting term or something in Romania?
Yeah, teach your audience some Romanian.
Yeah, no,
shit.
we don't need to learn like the standard bullshit like hi, how are you? I love. No, we don't need to learn.
Teach us
shit.
some slang.
Right? Yeah, some slang or something cool. Like, what do the young people in Romania say? You know.
Yeah, like people in France say, like, they don't say bye, they don't say au revoir, they say a plus.
There's a meme that, well, not growing up in Romania through my high school period in college didn't
Yeah.
really help with being cool and like knowing the cool words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever I go back, I see my friends, there's this meme thing and it says ce să faci, or
Chessifage.
yeah, it's like what to do, something like this.
Yeah.
It's translated to that.
Right.
From now on, me and
And-
Jessica go chessifage.
And
Yeah.
you usually say it when like you can't do anything about something. You're like ce să faci. And
Oh,
you have
yeah,
to,
we love that one. We love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, we love that word.
I'm down.
Chessifage.
Chessifage.
Ah, shit.
It sounds a bit vulgar, don't you think? Chessifage.
no, you know what? It just basically means what to do.
No, it sounds
There's
like
nothing
it sounds
vulgar
like
to
fuck,
it.
right? Doesn't it? Chessifage, fuck.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
like-
yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. But sorry, no, like, cause like, I think in a lot of Asian languages, that's that sort of term as well. It's, I just know like, what are you gonna do, man? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't. I don't think there was. It's an old thing. It's just like a new thing that surfaced with
that's
the
cool.
memes
I'm,
and everything else.
I'm down with the Romanian memes.
We're down to moving the Romanian culture forward.
Wait, people don't use it as a whole thing. They use it as CSF.
Okay, we're gonna type it actually
CSF,
now.
man,
We're down with Romania,
All
right?
right. From now on, anytime I want to be like, I'll just go CSF, bro.
Yeah, CSF.
All right.
Yeah. Wait, one more thing. So wait, do you believe in socialism or it's a mix, right? At the end of the day, you believe in mix, but you just don't know the intricacies or in terms of the mixture of how socialist it should be or how capitalist it should be.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing.
Mm.
But the other thing is that it's very easy to sit here and say, I like this and I like that and I like this and I like that. But something very different to go down to the voting booth and then vote for someone
Yeah.
Who-
Yeah.
who stands for A or stands for B.
Yeah.
Because, as observers, it's very easy for us to say, oh, I'd love it if everyone could get free university education or if everyone could get paid to go to university. But what are the practical implications of that on me?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I don't think
but
anyone
that's not
fully
what I'm saying.
understands that until
It
sort of
understand.
happens.
That when it comes to voting, but I'm just talking about in a general, like how the economy is run or how
I don't think you can look at it in a vacuum like that because at the end of the day,
It's not practical.
yeah, it's not practical and everything is connected, right? And at the end of the day, people are, in general as well, people are going to vote based on, or they're going to elect leaders in countries where they can elect leaders based on how things affect them personally.
Yeah.
People are selfish.
Yeah, no, that's when I first learned about voting. When I turned 18 and my Australian friend told me, I asked him like, oh, why didn't you vote for this? This is better for the general economy. It's like, no, I'm voting what's better for
Yeah.
me.
And a lot of people,
eyes.
a lot of people are one issue voters.
Yeah,
Right.
one issue voters.
They
Exactly.
only care about one thing and they'll vote for the person that, they believe will do the right thing on that one thing.
Legalize gay marriage. Okay. And they forget about all the other signs and all the policies.
I mean, that's why some people vote for the Bullet Train Party.
What did the Bullet Train Party support?
The Bullet Train Party are the greatest political parties to ever exist in Australia.
Okay, why?
They have only one policy,
And
and that is to create a bullet train between Melbourne and Sydney. That is their only policy. That's
a
the
pretty
only
bomb-
thing that they want to
be
do.
fair, that's kind of a bomb ass idea.
It is. It's a pretty bomb idea.
Yeah.
But that's the only. Is that? Oh, what about what economic policies do you have? Well, Our-
Bullet train to the city.
our economic policy will be such that the government is able to fund a bullet train from Melbourne to Sydney. It's like that. That
Very
is
focused.
You're
You
very
got my
focused.
vote.
Exactly. They're very focused party.
Like, they seem like they will achieve what they want out of this government. All right, on to the next one. Let's talk about the Ireland underwear rape case. Is that a good title? Because I just typed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
I just sighed because of what's to come.
all right.
So
The discussion.
Everyone-
So I don't know Flory very well, but my impression from Peter is that she'll get very triggered here.
What I mean, I never said anything about you. I just said, oh, it's my brother's girlfriend. She's coming down.
You don't have to
So
call
it's
it.
outside of here.
I just said you studied about Russia, and I think she'll have a really cool.
All right,
take on
tell us about this rape case in Ireland, Peter.
So, the case was regarding a 27-year-old man accused of rape, who was found not guilty after the MP. I don't know why it was an MP, but basically, the guy's lawyer, the defendant's lawyer, closed the case. I mean, won the case essentially by taking out her thong, right?
It wasn't her thong. It was a thong that looked like the girl's thong,
Okay, it was some
from what I know.
blue lacy thong, and then it seems like from reading the news, the consensus was that the case was basically judged on that that piece of evidence saying that she wore like a 17-year-old girl wore something of that sort, and that was so-called consent, right? But that's from the news.
Yeah.
So what was the actual judgment?
Not guilty.
Like
The guys acquitted.
what was the reasons that the judge gave?
The thong was strong enough evidence. If you, I tried to dig through all these news.
That's the
seems
reason. That was the reason that was
seems to
given by the
take
judge.
That seems to take the cake of the case. No, like you can't find much news about it. Every news is really just focused on the movement and
I
the
get
protest that.
Right.
Because that's
think
from
it's
my
just-
research. That's what I wanted to say as well. Like, well, all they did focus on was the thong, and they didn't
Yeah.
really talk much about the case. All I know is a 27-year-old guy and a 17-year-old girl.
I think
27 and 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Drake?
No, Drake's 30.
Oh, yeah,
and
my
the
bad.
Millie Bobby Brown is 14.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
He likes Drake.
I know.
I like Michael Jackson too, and he likes Michael Jackson too. Don't shut the fuck up, Justin. Call it out as bullshit. All right.
Yeah,
anyways.
but I don't defend him.
When Man in the Mirror comes on, this guy will be on karaoke singing his lungs
Yeah,
out.
but I don't defend him.
I don't defend him. Oh, the Drake?
They're just being friends. They're just friendly.
Oh, Drake's not even. There's no proof.
All right. Anyway,
All right, let's continue to this case. Let's do this case justice, or try to.
I
So-
don't think we can, but we can talk about it.
Yes. So tell us.
Which matters.
Tell us more. Like, what's wrong? I mean, I don't know.
I think the
I'm
outrage
stupid. I
was
don't-
at the fact that this defense lawyer put the blame on the victim, and then the victim had no justice because the lawyer found the rapist not guilty. And
Well, do you think that's because of the underwear? You reckon that's the strong? It seems like in the
you know,
news
a
it
lot
seems
of the
like it.
times
In the
it's
news
not
it seems
the
like
fact
it.
that it seems like it. I don't know, but I think it's just the fact that a rapist was found not guilty,
Yeah.
and there's a rape case. That
But
happens so often.
How you know it's rape? That's a valid question, right? Like.
How do you know it's rape? Because one person says, I was raped. I was raped.
Justin, push back. I don't want to
Why?
do it.
You know,
I'm too scared
first
to
of
push
all-
back. Justin, push back. I don't want to do it.
go on. Finish your point.
Yeah, there's one thing. So
Okay.
I don't think it's easy for rape victims to come out and say, I was raped. And I don't see the
'Cause
I
there's
don't see
barriers.
the positive outcome of saying I was raped. You know, like, why would you willingly go out there and go through all of that and have it like on TV, on media, and everywhere, and then just for what?
So first of all, I'm going to say I don't support rape. Second of all, not every rape case comes out on TV or media.
No, but this one did.
This one did because of the judgment,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It
And the
didn't-
reasoning of the judgment.
yeah,
I
but it
think.
didn't come out during the time that the trial was going on. Am I right?
It came out after.
Yeah, so after the judgment has been passed, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about why, so I completely do not agree
Yes, we know he doesn't.
with I completely do not agree with this idea that just because someone claims rape, that it is rape.
Well, no, okay, somebody claims rape, you should investigate it. I'm not
Yes.
saying you shouldn't go into it, you shouldn't look into it.
Yes.
I think there's sick people out there who would say maybe they were raped and they weren't. I don't know. I hope not.
Well, they are.
They are.
So a few years ago, I had I have a friend, and this didn't happen to her, but it was a friend of a friend, and she said she was at a party one night, and this girl got a bit drunk and slept with this guy, and the next morning she was regretting. She was regretful of sleeping with that guy. She didn't want to sleep with that guy, and so she told people that she was raped. She told my friend that she was raped. My friend told me she wasn't raped, man.
But how does he know?
Well, first of all, my friend's a girl, right? And
Doesn't matter.
And she told me because she was at that party, and she saw their interaction, and she said it was very consensual between the two. That's according to her. She said it was very consensual, and she said and my friend was getting very concerned because she was afraid that that girl will go to the cops or whatever, and in some senses, ruined this guy's life because that she was, oh man, I shouldn't have slept with that guy. I've got to think of an excuse about why I did.
But why do you? It's still, you don't know what happened between those two people. Maybe she regretted it.
That's true, but
Maybe halfway through it, she said, "I don't want to do this anymore," and he kept going.
I mean that's definitely a possibility. Although, obviously, I don't know the full story.
And neither does the
But,
friend
yeah.
of the girl.
But
There's two sides to the story.
Yeah.
No, actually, there's three sides to the story. There's also, if we were there watching, we would know as well.
But I think that this idea of, and there have been cases before where women have claimed rape, it's gone to trial, and eventually it's been found out that it's a false claim. And I think part of the reason that the crime of rape is very controversial is because, in all honesty, regardless of who wins a case, everyone's a loser, actually, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of who wins the case, everyone loses, actually.
Imagine, like, just say this, like, Flory, if I was an alleged rapist, right, and I won the case, just having that tag, an alleged rapist, that will haunt me for the rest of my life.
But if you're a rapist,
Yeah, but what if I was an alleged rapist and I didn't do anything wrong, and for the rest of my life I will have that halo.
Yeah.
that is the same excuse they use for the case with Brock Turner, where he's an elite student, and just for the 20 minutes whatever he did.
Oh no,
to
but that
the
guy's
girl,
wrong. No, that guy's wrong. That
So
guy's wrong.
I think the Brock Turner case, the swimmer guy, right?
Yeah, the swimmer guy.
Yeah.
I think that one, there are some cases which seem to be a bit clearer.
Yeah.
But I think generally, and generally those tend to be cases which are highlighted in the media and all that sort of thing because of, for whatever reason, there's deemed to be some grave injustice, or there's deemed to be something fishy is going on here, whatever.
It's open for interpretation.
But
usually.
But I do also believe that there are a lot of sort of cases or whatever where they don't make the news, and it's much more difficult, and it's much more, it's much harder to say yes or no, A or B, and like this term, it's the same thing as being like a sexual predator or child molester or something, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're proven not guilty.
Why do you always look at me when you say child predator? Child predator.
Even if you're proven not guilty, right? Like, you still lose in the end.
Yeah, agreed.
And by the way, I'm saying this regardless of being a guy or a girl, by the way. Right? I think like guys can be, and obviously there's probably more prominence in men raping women, but there is also cases of women raping men.
95%.
Right.
I would
So
never argue against that.
I'm not saying that, I'm not saying here, I'm defending the man or whatever. I'm just saying, like,
It's not about
whoever
the man
loses
or
the
the
case.
woman. It's just about the verdict and who you choose to believe. And yeah,
so without having a lawyer here, I think it's a bit harder to say. But in a rape case, right, where does the burden of proof? Who does the burden of proof lie on?
Victim.
Victim.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a victim. No?
Do you guys understand what the term burden of proof means?
No, I don't. I personally don't.
As in, like, the person who has to present all the facts? No?
Well, the burden of proof means that that person has to convince the jury or the judge otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, for example...
Yeah, isn't that the victim usually? Traditionally...
I'm not sure. It depends.
Usually the victim has to prove that the accused is guilty.
Yeah, and so the reason that question is important is because generally the party with the burden of proof has to make a very, very, very strong case.
Yeah.
And they need to present a case that is, much stronger than a person who is defending against those allegations.
But in today's climate, I think there might be a shift in the burden of proof more towards the accused.
No, the burden of proof is a system prescribed by law.
Okay. Oh, as in it's okay.
It's not an arbitrary concept.
Okay, okay.
If you have friends who are lawyers or whatever, the burden of proof is a law concept.
I'm pretty sure it's a victim.
It's
then.
not a public concept.
Okay, it's a victim. I'm pretty sure it's the victim. My
Right.
guess would be the victim. Yeah.
Do you know the answer?
I don't know the answer, so that's why I said it's hard to talk about this without a lawyer.
Then let's not talk about it in that sense.
Yeah.
maybe we can talk about it as what we think about the issue and just maybe rape cases in general, or just rape or consent and things like this, because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know these terms.
Sure.
I can't discuss with it in terms of law.
Sure. So,
Oh, okay. So yeah, no. Based. This is Australia, I think.
well, there's New Zealand.
New Zealand. Sorry, New Zealand. So in New Zealand, the burden of proof stands on the accuser, and there were calls apparently to shift it to the accused, but they walked back on those plans.
So
Basically,
they're innocent until proven guilty.
yep,
Yeah.
it's good, Pat. And
So this guy, so that's why, so tying it back to this case, right, where it's being reported in the media that the reason that this guy is found not guilty is because of what the defense provided a thong as evidence that she consented.
yeah, she was
I
wearing
don't-
something.
no, I
she was
don't
wearing
think
some lacy underwear.
It
and
was. I don't think it was the thong is a reason why she consented. I think it's she was wearing this thong, so she wanted it.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
That's. I think that was the
which
explanation.
is unfair. Which we all agree. Here
I mean,
that
I agree that that's not a good reason.
Yeah,
There's no reason for you to take someone's underwear in court and say she was wearing this, so she should be blamed for what happened to her.
yeah, dude. I'm
There's
DTF.
no reason to ever have that.
I mean, I think there is a reason, and
Because it works in the favor of the defense lawyer.
yes,
Yeah,
so that's the reason.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, ethically.
In fact, ethically, I think it's correct because the defense lawyer has a duty towards his client.
Which is what I said just now. I tell you, man, lawyers, bankers, these are like they all have they don't. There's no like right or wrong. It's just
Okay,
what
No,
we-
no,
Let's get
no.
at it. Let's
The ethics of being a lawyer is that you do your best to defend or to represent your client.
Yeah,
But again, we're talking in terms of law
matter
and
right or
lawyers
wrong.
and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know much about law and lawyers, but as a person,
Yeah.
considering you're not in the court, you're not a lawyer, you're not thinking from that perspective.
Yeah.
It's not ethical for you to place the blame on the victim, who's saying, just because you wore these pair of underwear, you are at fault for being raped.
Again, I'm going to say I agree with that, but I'm also going to say there's already a presumption that she is the victim,
Yeah,
right? Whereas
I choose to believe her.
Whereas so you don't subscribe to the notion of innocence until proven guilty.
No, because I'm not a lawyer, and because that's my opinion about the case.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I understand
okay.
that.
Why do you believe her?
Because, again, like I said before, as a rape victim, I think it takes a lot of strength for you to come out and say, I was raped.
I generally, I agree with that. But then what do you say to the cases where women have come out and said, I was raped, and it's been proven that they've lied?
That's shitty of them.
Yeah, but
What?
Also,
why couldn't this woman have done the same thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the motivations of people, but again, the fact that you choose to use her underwear in court as evidence as to why it happened to her, I don't think that's a strong case. I think you're trying to find a way to get out of it.
But we don't know. We don't know
No,
enough
we don't know.
information
We don't know.
to say to warrant us saying.
I mean,
this guy-
apparently it is a strong case because the defendant won the case.
No, I mean we don't know.
We don't know why it was a strong case. We don't know it's
Yeah,
because of
that's
the
true.
underwear
That's what
or
I'm
it's
trying to
because
say.
of
Yeah.
the reasons.
That's true.
Let's go to Pat.
So, all right, this comes to maybe a bit of a touchy subject.
Just go, man.
It's become so. What's your opinion on this? I won't even call it justification, but where people say, well, a woman was wearing this, and so if she gets raped, it's sort of like that's sort of her fault.
No, that's
What's my opinion about that?
Yep.
bullshit.
Yeah, that's total bullshit. That's beyond bullshit.
All right. So do you support the fact that women should be allowed to wear anything at any time?
And not be raped, yes.
I agree with that as well.
I agree.
Or sexual assaulted.
I
Justice,
agree
go
with
hit,
that as well.
hit us with a hot take.
So what okay, first of all, I completely agree with that. But second of all, I think that there needs to be some
Sorry, Justin, I'm not going to do you dirty by cutting out snippets and,
I
portray you.
understand. But I'm speaking slower because I want to think of the right words so I'm not misquoted and I'm not misunderstood. So, for example, right, if I went to, let's say if I went to Frankston at 3 a.m. in the morning,
Yeah,
right, and I drove my Lamborghini,
yeah,
and I was wearing my gold chains,
yeah,
and I was wearing my my Yeezys.
yeah.
I was in my drip.
Yeah,
I was in my drip. I was just walking
You're
around.
ice cold, man. Icy,
Yeah,
man.
I was just walking around, and I get robbed.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously,
I can't believe you're 30 years old and you're using the word drip. But anyways, continue.
getting robbed is not right
But why Frankston? Why would you get robbed in Frankston?
because statistically,
Okay, never mind. Yep.
is it my fault that I got robbed?
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
No,
It's not my fault that I got robbed.
no, you chose. To
I
wear
bear
those
zero
things.
responsibility.
You can afford to wear those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good
I
for
bet
you.
People who robbed you,
It was
they're
their
in the
choice
wrong.
to rape you. It was their choice to snatch those things off
You
you.
didn't say anything about rape.
No,
You didn't say anything about rape.
I agree with that, but I'm saying maybe I should have
Not-
considered my situation and where I was going and what I was doing, in order to say maybe this is not the best thing to do at this time.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have been.
So girls should not go out and have fun because probably it's not the best thing for them. So they should stay at home.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at
No,
all.
You
no,
are
no.
making the.
No, I'm saying
No, it's not. It's not.
if you were, let's say, if
It's like talking about me just now.
no, let's say if you were to walk in,
Fuck.
let's say you were in Iran, right? And you have a lady, and a lady goes out and walks in a dodgy area at night in a bikini.
That's around. There's a cultural.
Yeah,
There
but
is
no, but what you're
never-
saying, is that there is some consideration
Sorry.
that needs to be given
Sorry.
for your environment and what you're doing, right?
You should always be considered what you're doing.
Yeah, okay, and so I completely agree with that. I think in cases where, so this guy was New Zealand, right? So this case was
No, Ireland.
So this was Ireland. I think in Australia. I think in things like that. I think you're absolutely right. There's a culture as well where, women can probably they can wear a bit more, so whatever they want because the culture allows for it,
Yeah.
right? And they and that's all I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying. It's about being
I saw.
Aware
culturally
of the culture.
sensitive. Culturally sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah, but New Zealand. I mean,
So like I said, I'm not saying in New Zealand or what. Like I think in Australia, you can afford to, to do
these
what
things, yeah.
to do what I want.
But for example, in a Muslim, more conservative.
you should be aware of the cultural aspects of that society, and you should definitely be respectful.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I think we all
it's
agree.
never, ever, whatever you wear, wherever country you're in, rape is never justified.
I
for
agree
what you
with
wear.
that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Then what's the point of this?
I'm just saying.
No, he's just trying to pose some challenges, just to see if it's consistent.
Yeah, it's because again,
okay, I'll just make it clear.
I think the mugging example is a good example.
But you can't compare.
let's-
you
let's-
can't compare robbery to
Let's
rape.
just make it clear, okay? Let's just make
Ever.
it clear.
they're both crimes.
They're not the same crimes, and it's not taking something away from someone who doesn't. It's not the same thing. This is
Let's just
somebody.
make it clear. All right, let's just lighten everything up, okay? Let's just before it gets too heated. Just because I'm wearing my Uniqlo boxers or my Calvin Kleins doesn't mean yes.
Sure, but
Yeah.
yeah. So you're talking about consent.
Yeah. So we all know that. So we all agree on that. But what he's saying is, it's wrong. We all know rape is wrong. But sometimes you try and say people put themselves in the situation.
You should try to avoid situations where bad
Yeah.
things can happen to you.
Yeah.
Why is it that I'm also thinking of how to word this, but why is it that there's situations where
No, why
gonna
do these?
take-
Why
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
you wear it? No, essentially you're asking why can't people
why
wear
is it
this
that
forever? Why is
it's
it
okay
dangerous?
to rape if somebody's wearing something?
No,
It's
No,
not
it's not-
I'm,
it's
I'm,
okay.
no,
It's
I'm
not
not
okay.
saying it is.
It's
I
not
agree
okay.
it's not. I
It's
agree
not.
it's not.
No, but why did the question is more of why when people wear these things, people rape them? Like that's more of the question. Like why does
because
I don't know that it's
because of
that's the
exactly
question,
this
to be
discussion.
honest.
Because when you talk about, well, she was wearing this, so I raped her. She deserved it.
No, but that's
No,
not good reason.
no,
The guy
but
should be
that is
dead.
not the argument.
I'm putting it in very plain words.
Yeah, but that is
and
not
harsh
that is not the
words.
argument they were making, right? Like, you know, for example, if someone gets mugged on the street, right, and he's driving around his Lamborghini and with his old gold chains and stuff, he's not saying, "Hey, rob me."
No, I know
But,
what you mean.
But he's becoming more of a target for people who might do it because of the ostentatious show of wealth.
If we're
Yeah.
talking about the case
He's
we're talking
dripping
about
too
now,
much.
her
too
underwear
cold.
were under her clothes.
And that one I completely agree with. That's why I think this case, that's why the first thing I asked you when you brought this thing up is that the full verdicts? Because for me, that reason does not make sense. Right? So we agree on this.
He was acquitted, and that was one of the strong reasons.
Yeah, but that reason doesn't make sense.
Yes, we agree. We all agree on this. That's why there was a big
I
protest.
genuinely hope there was more to it.
I would hope so as well.
Yeah.
I would hope so as
We
well.
probably could look for it, but I mean, we're more talking about like consent and like we're more talking about rape culture, right?
Yeah,
How to-
if we focus on this case, I think we'll get nowhere because there's a lot of things that we don't know about it.
Yeah.
So
So
we
many
can't make an
unknowns. I
informed
agree.
decision or
So-
opinion
I
about
agree.
it.
Let's talk about rape culture, something that we know nothing about. What? Why are you laughing? What do you know about rape culture?
Go on.
Yeah, so like, what needs to be done, you reckon?
Wait, can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
What is rape culture?
Yeah, actually,
I have a
sorry,
as a
sorry,
definition.
Wait,
As a
wait, I have a
definition.
What is
definition
rape culture?
here.
What is rape culture?
It's not a definition that you'd find in a dictionary, but it's from a book. It's called "What We Talk About When We Talk About Rape" by
Yep.
Suhaila Abdullahi, and I really like this book.
She brought a book.
Yes, I brought a book because
Preach, sister,
necessary.
preach.
Wait, let me find it. It's gonna take a while though.
And this is
That's
not
fine,
this is not laughing matter. The only person laughing here is Justin.
Sure.
Okay, more serious. Okay, let's be serious. All right. So Justin, how's your day?
This is where you put in like, you know, the Jeopardy theme song. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, you mean like the lounge music, like live, like
Yeah.
elevator? You know, what? I'll just put the Manele music.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Okay,
actually.
so I found it.
All right.
So, rape culture, the totality of all the big and little things we do, say, and believe that ultimately leads to the conclusion that it's okay to rape. So, she talks from a very Indian perspective because she's Indian herself, and
Sure.
she, in the book, she focuses on the culture, the rape culture in India. And she says, perhaps not any one of the little things, serving your son first like a good Indian mother doesn't mean you condone rape. Making fun of lady drivers doesn't mean you condone rape. Saving for your daughter's dowry doesn't mean you condone rape. Saying boys will be boys on the playground doesn't mean you condone rape. But each of these things chip away at women's and girls' self-respect, gives boys permission to feel a little more entitled, and a little more important, a little more as though they have a free pass to maraud through the world and take without thinking. That's how she defines rape culture.
Right. So,
it's the multitude of things that we do on a daily basis that don't seem big, like jokes you make with your guys, like locker room talk, that add to the whole culture and to the whole idea that, oh, it's not that bad, and she kind of deserved it, and boys are like this.
Like what jokes? Okay, what jokes?
I think saying like she deserved it is probably crossing
that's-
a line a bit.
we never say she deserved it ever.
These are the things that I often hear from a lot of people when they
Right.
talk about rape. Like,
Are you talking about
she
Nick?
was wearing this, so no, I'm not talking about it.
Okay, Nick's my brother, by the way. It's gonna pap. Anyways, yeah, no, I think.
So before the show, oh wait, was it actually during the show?
It was before.
Yeah. Well, Peter called someone a pussy. And
Is that
Flory,
is that-
you don't agree with
Is that rape culture?
I wouldn't say that's rape culture.
It's gonna pap. No rape culture here.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
There's definitely people that would.
What?
But you called him out for it though.
Yeah, I called him out because pussies are fucking.
Yeah, I fucking love pussy.
You
So
call
that's
him
rape-
a
that's
pussy.
rape culture there, right there.
call
No, what?
him-
I
you
respect
called
pussy.
him- it's not that. Yeah, but you called him a pussy to say that he was weak.
No, I love Justin.
That is no. You called him a pussy because you wanted to
But
get the point that he is weak.
can't words be multi? You can't
But
have
why? Pussies are fucking strong.
So is
I can call him a penis head. And
So-
that's a you.
but you wouldn't
yeah,
though.
Do you call anyone a dickhead?
Like, yeah, I was just about to say,
Oh,
why
wait,
do you call
Flory?
someone a
A
dick?
dickhead, yeah, but a dickhead is for someone who's like, I imagine a dickhead to be someone like so strong-willed and so like
What? No.
No. What? No.
an asshole in his opinion.
No,
No.
it's just no.
No, he's just an idiot.
Yeah,
A
he's just
dickhead
an
is an
idiot.
idiot. So dicks are good. Dicks are strong, right?
Or if you call someone a dick, like that guy's a dick.
Yeah,
He's an asshole, but it doesn't mean weak or strong. But when you talk about pussies,
she's just saying that she
Okay,
just
okay.
thinks that when I use the word pussy, I associate with the word weak.
yeah, because
But that's what you are.
afterwards-
But that's true, though.
Afterwards, you call him soft. And
But
weak.
I don't think women are weak. It's just
It doesn't matter.
for that-
But this is the example of like it fits in the definition of all the small and little things we do and say and believe that add to the rape culture and thinking that rape is okay. It doesn't have to be big.
Okay, do you use pussies for two connotations? Sometimes you say someone's weak, but sometimes you say I like pussy as well, right?
That is not the same
in all
meaning.
in all honesty, I don't use the word pussy to describe like, for example, like a coward or someone that's weak. But it's not because of
You don't want to.
it's not because of these like rape culture things. It's just a word that I don't like to use to describe people.
I don't think-
same like how I wouldn't use the C word to describe a woman.
Oh, I
or
hate
something
that
like
word, man.
Right, so it's just, and for people that do use those words, that's up to them. It doesn't offend me, but I personally I
what
don't
bad
use
words
those
do you
words.
use?
See, generally I'm quite polite.
You use the B word,
What's the B word?
the bitch.
I mean, bitch is actually a word though. It's a real word that it literally means female dog.
Yeah, it does.
Like that's
I don't use it.
yeah, but that's its literal meaning.
Okay, so if I call someone a bitch, if I call it like, yo, Justin's a bitch, is that accentuating rape culture?
Again, I said that I don't think that saying
But
pussy
people-
is weak. It just adds to this idea that girls are weak, guys are strong.
Okay, you know
blah,
what?
Blah blah.
Fuck it. I'll take the word pussy out of my word of it, like
You
endearment.
can use pussy by saying that you like it, but you don't have to say that he is like a pussy because you think he's weak.
Okay. All right, Justin, you
It's also
coward.
like contradictory when you say that.
Yeah, I know, but like humans are like that.
Yeah, sure, but you can change some things about the contradictory things you say.
I don't think this is a big deal, but okay, fine.
But you mentioned it.
All right, Justin, you
Or you did,
coward.
I don't know.
It sounds so weird. Okay, fine. I'll just use the word coward till like, yeah, fine. Okay, let's go. Justin's thinking.
I'm just thinking there's an equivalent.
To
Equivalent to what?
Like, you say when you say pussy, like it sort of perpetuates rape culture. But is there an equivalent where like I thought equivalent was like dick, right? Like you call someone a dick. But I can see where you're coming from in the sense that you're not insinuating like strength or weaknesses by calling someone a dick. You're just
No,
saying
you
that guy's an
don't.
asshole, right?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I'm just
Isn't
trying
that
to
a
think.
weakness?
I'm just
Like,
trying to think of an equivalent.
You're an idiot. Isn't that a weakness? You're an idiot.
But it's not. It has nothing to do with gender.
I mean, you can be a very aggressive idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think.
You can be a very aggressive idiot.
Yeah, because in all honesty, this idea for me at least, this idea that calling someone a pussy, goes through A, goes through B, goes through C, goes through C, and eventually leads to this idea that I support rape. I
No.
cannot see that connection,
But
and I
again,
cannot
I
see that
didn't say.
link.
I don't think that necessarily calling someone a pussy.
You don't subscribe to that notion.
I don't think
it's
that
linked.
I don't think that it leads to the rape culture that she's talking about in the book. But I'm saying that
There are people who do.
this wasn't part of the conversation. This was an outside conversation that we had that
Yep.
one of you, I don't remember who it was, but brought it in this discussion about rape culture.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, and I don't think it connects to this.
Right.
But the reason why I pointed out was because it's a contradiction for you to call someone you think is weak a pussy.
Okay, yeah, all right, fair enough.
And it's a gendered
enough.
word. It's like
yeah.
you're thinking of gender when you talk about
Yeah.
this.
But in the definition in the book, so would you say you don't completely agree with the definition in the book, or you do?
No, I do. I do agree that it's the small things that we do, and it's the big things too that add. It's everything that we do. And she gives the examples, like I think the one we can relate to the most is the boys will be boys when you see a boy doing something to a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think when you see a boy doing something to anyone.
Yeah, but for example, if a boy in kindergarten or like primary school pulls a girl's hair,
Yeah.
and then the teacher is like, well, the reason why he's pulling her is because he likes her.
Yeah.
Does that add to rape culture? Is that okay for him to do?
But I agree that it's not okay for him to do. But again, I'm going to say I struggle to see the down the line connection
Because
to
they're-
it becoming
yeah, but because it's a small thing.
I'll pull your hair, and that means I support rape.
It doesn't mean that, but it leads to that because when the boy thinks it's okay for me to pull her hair, it means I like her. She will get that. And then he'll grow up and to be a man who thinks it's okay to do some things to a girl because she'll get it. I like her. She'll be okay with it.
Justin likes choking. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
If it's consensual, go for it. But if the girl doesn't like it, she doesn't like her hair being pulled.
No, but they're kids. I'm not saying boys will be
it
boys,
doesn't
but they're
matter
kids.
if they're kids. They grow up to be adults.
So
they're kids for a while.
So how do they play with each other?
You don't have to pull her hair to show her you like her.
Oh no, not obviously not. But what if they play? You know, like when the kids play, and then like something just happened, like a boy just like hits a girl and she starts crying. So is that rape culture?
No, I think I don't
No,
know.
that's what I'm trying to say. Because when kids play, and I'm pretty sure girls, like when they're kids, girls beat up guys a lot because they tend to mature.
Yeah,
more.
that's true. Though.
Yeah. See, I'm not gonna lie, man. I got bullied by a girl when I was a kid. I didn't throw any punches, dude. I got punches thrown at me.
So someone should have told her to stop. I'm not saying that girls should be like, it's okay for you to punch a guy because
Obviously,
you're a girl.
no, at the end of the day, it's not okay. But like, you should still let them play together, right?
Obviously, I'm not saying don't let them play together, but don't say that it's okay for a kid to pull another kid's hair because it's just like she said, it adds to these things. It doesn't directly lead to it, but it's part of the culture.
I'm with Justin here that I find it hard to see it's a direct cause.
Again, I just said it's not a direct cause. It's not a direct link.
There's a link.
between-
There's
just different things that come along the way that lead to this idea that it's okay.
Yep. No, I
can see that you don't see the
what you're
direct
saying.
link.
I see what you say. I see what you say.
But it's a step that you grow up with
Yeah.
and you think
It's okay.
But I do also think that two things. One, about the hair pulling thing specifically. You know, if let's say two kids are in a kindergarten, one's a guy, one's a girl, and the boy pulls the girl's hair and the girl starts crying, like that kid the boy is gonna get punished, right? He's gonna get freaking stop doing that shit, kid.
Yeah, but some teachers don't do that. Some teachers don't tell the kid it's not okay for you to do that. Some teachers might be like, oh, but he's a boy and he likes her, so she should take it because he's just playing.
I mean, maybe, but I think if it's constantly being done, like let's say every day this boy comes to class and pulls it, I think the teacher will be like, stop freaking pulling that. It's not okay to pull that.
But what if some teachers don't?
Do you think
That's
they
a
don't?
very tough argument.
Do you think some teachers? Do you think that? I think most teachers would though.
I think
because in general the kid just cries, so you
Yeah.
gotta punish someone else, right?
Yeah, in
I
general,
mean, you gotta punish the person that causes that. And the other thing that I'm gonna say is that I think a majority of men, though, a vast majority, and maybe I'm naive, but a vast majority of men do not support rape, right? That's what I would like to imagine. A vast majority do not.
Me and Justin are allies.
And a vast majority have probably pulled a girl's hair when they were a little kid. Or
Nope, never did.
Or they've probably, like, seen a girl, when you're young, you don't really know how to express that shit, right?
Again, I'm not saying that if you pull
That's why
girls' hair, you're
Justin
going to
likes
end up a
choking his
rapist.
girls out.
I didn't say that.
Yeah,
I said that saying to a boy it's okay when he's young, that it's okay to, pull a girl's hair, and telling the girl that, you should take it because he just likes you. Then kind of like, where's the line?
Yeah.
Where do you tell kids it's not okay for you to do this? And when they grow up...
No, I just think like these things usually like bound to happen, and it's the teacher's job to say no. You can't be rough with someone, and the parents as well. It's whoever these kids' role models and teaching figures are to tell them that no, you can't be that rough. You can play, and if it gets rough, one person will be distressed, like Justin said. Someone will be crying, and someone will be stopping the kid who caused it. So,
and if it's an Asian kid, freaking, you can bet that kid's getting beat.
Yeah.
The point of that example was, I think we're getting too into the example.
Right.
Yeah.
But the point of the example was to say that the notion that boys will be boys is not okay.
Yeah,
That
hate that
is
line.
what leads to it. And it doesn't have to be an old man saying, or like a teenager or a college student say, oh, boys will be boys. It can also be a primary school kid doing this and a teacher saying, or someone saying, boys will be boys, it's okay.
It's right. It's a line I don't think I've ever heard in my life, like on me or something.
I've heard it.
Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
You're like
Why do you always
smirking.
think I'm laughing? I'm not laughing.
You're like smirking. You had that like evil like.
What Was I laughing, Flory?
You weren't laughing. You were smirking.
Oh yeah, I wasn't laughing.
But I can kind of guess why.
Yeah, why?
Right, moving on.
If you're not the one who hears it, maybe you're the one who says it.
Yeah. No, fucking. I don't say that shit, dude. I'm so nice. Yo, but Justin's the one who like pulls his girl's hair. Like, fuck. All right. Shall we do the
You know, I'm glad that someone is on this podcast that like, you know, we're on the same wavelength. You know? Like, I'm glad.
Let's skip that. Let's go to.
Let's skip it.
Let's skip the American. You want to talk about American missionary?
Nah, screw that, man.
Yeah, let's talk about African American fishing. Or I don't know how do you explain it. Justin, you want to try?
It's your topic.
So
Personally, I think this is a non-topic, but it's your topic. So
no, we
you
can
go.
link it to like what
No,
you
because personally, I think it's a non-topic in general.
I
but you can
assume you guys cut these parts out.
go. It depends on the flow.
We'll
Hey,
keep
go
it
ahead.
on. We'll keep
Go
going.
ahead.
So it's about how white people they try to be racially ambiguous on social media.
Why don't you just explain what happened?
Oh yeah. So white people basically pretend to be black on social media, and you get sponsors and they profit off it. So is it a problem? And now the black community has coined this term. I can't say it.
These sound so sad.
Ger fishing.
Oh my god, that was way too close for comfort, man. Way too close.
So yeah, it's basically So that's the problem. So yeah, guys, what do you think? Is it inherently wrong? Do you think it's morally wrong what they're doing?
How did this issue come to be a talking point?
Because Black Twitter erupted.
Why?
Because they claim white people are culture vouchers.
So someone started a Twitter account, and then
it caught a wave, and now all these black people are really angry at white people.
God, you're terrible at telling
Okay,
stories.
how would you tell it then?
So someone started a Twitter account. I don't know when they started it, but this caught, I guess, sort of a certain number of people's attention, where this Twitter account was basically calling out and tweeting photos of people, usually white American girls and guys, who are so-called altering their physical appearance to appear more African American.
Yeah.
This was picked up, and a term was coined for it, which was N-word fishing.
N-word fishing, yeah.
And yeah, the question then becomes: is that okay? Obviously, it plays into this whole thing these days around the climate, around culture and cultural appropriation, and all that sort of stuff. So, for whatever reason, how's
that much different from mine? All right, okay.
Just continue.
Thank you. So then it was picked up in the past 2 weeks by several media outlets, and for whatever reason now though that Twitter account has been closed down, but it still raised the question around: are we okay? I mean, I guess for the black community, are we okay that these people are essentially trying to look like us, but they, I guess, don't pay the respects or don't. Or have not been through the things that we've been through as a community, and are profiting off it.
Are they profiting off it?
Yeah, they get sponsors and stuff like those Instagram influencers. They like basically help like sell stuff because of the following they get. These girls, these N-word fishers get. Yeah.
But do they get it because they look that way, or they try to look that way?
So they essentially it's basically they basically try to look a specific way because
I've seen one post.
It's the flavor of the month right now. So to look like that, right? So that these white girls basically essentially they try to put on this racially ambiguous type of look.
Is it ambiguous though?
Yeah, they just basically try to be light skinned, as in like they don't try to be black, like full black. They try to be like biracial.
Oh, okay.
And because that's the flavor of the month in America. So. And they get a following of fans, and when they get a following of fans, these products and brands will go to them to sponsor them, to help them to get them to sell their products for them, and they get paid off that. And obviously, the black diaspora, the black people just don't like it.
So what's the look?
The look.
What's the look? Paint me a word picture.
Light skin thought.
Light skin what?
So the look is probably tan, big ass, small waist, and
Yeah.
and certain types of hairstyles, right?
Yeah.
That's the look.
Yeah. Curly or like braided, you know, like some biracial, like half white, half black type of look.
Okay.
Yes. So is it wrong? Is it morally wrong?
Is it?
I feel like there's this gray area between yes and no because you never know. It's a yes and a no.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, you know, we were talking about this
It's not cool.
before, and for me, I think it's a lot to do with intent. It's a lot to do with intent.
Yeah.
It's so hard to judge intent based on, you know, an Instagram feed or
Yeah.
or you know or a Twitter account.
Mm.
And so that's what makes, you know, that's what makes it a gray area, so to speak.
Yep.
You know, I think that some things are just, in my opinion, it's just what's trending at the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these days, like big asses trend,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the trend.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be no, like the thinner you are, the better.
Yeah.
Right. But now that it's sort of gone the other way.
Yeah.
And so, at what point does it become cultural appropriation? Because I think this issue is primarily is a cultural appropriation issue over, well, I'm just following what the trends are. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
The point where you try to do blackface. You're a white person, you paint your face, or you paint yourself to be a black person.
Yeah, I think that is definitely not acceptable. But I think that these people that we're talking about, or at least the people that are presented within this Twitter feed or whatever, are not necessarily doing blackface.
Yeah. They're tanning themselves, but like, it's very hard
But
to argue,
again,
right?
it's the intent.
Yeah.
Why
I'll
you're
drop some
tanning
photos. I'll
yourself.
drop some photos.
Because like, you know, and this might be a stereotype, but white people love to tan,
Yeah, they
and
do.
Asian people love to be white. You know, so you know, it becomes at what point is this? You know, it's about judging intent, right? And it's so difficult.
Yeah. So how do we like? I mean, there's nothing we can do then. If you say
This, for example, this is the only post I saw about it.
yeah. So we're looking at some examples of people who
She's clearly white.
clearly white, but then if you didn't see her original photo or like the photo back then, and you just saw this photo,
No.
what do you think she would be? Like your guess in terms of your just guess on what's her race?
Not white.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the question is, I don't think the question is, oh, what do you think her race is? But I think the question is more about,
Why is she trying to do this?
yeah, like what's her intent of doing this, right? Because look, like tan skin, big lips, you know, the big ass. That's trending in American beauty today,
Yeah.
right? So it's so hard for me. For me, I sort of think it's a bit of a non-issue. Like I think it's a bit of a reach, to be honest. And I'm not saying that purely from an African American to, you know, white American lady perspective. I mean, if you look at the case of, for example, the Koreans and their eye surgery, right? You know, they do the double eyelid surgery, right? That's the most common surgery, and the nose, you know,
And the
like
cheeks as well. They're flat faces, but they try to get that round cheeks.
sure, you know, like is that not the same thing or similar? Like, in fact, that's, you know, would you argue that's worse because that's actually a permanent change?
Yeah.
You know, like, but yet that is not seen as
Culture
appropriation,
yeah.
or it's not seen as, you know, like white person fishing or whatever. Like, I feel it's a bit of a reach, to be honest, because
Yeah.
for me it's sort of a non-issue, and it's sort of something where people just pick up for the sake of saying something, for the sake of being outraged
Fair
about
enough.
something.
Yeah.
But that's just my view.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I kind of agree. I just think it's like they find it as the hottest flavor of the month, and they try and get looks, and that's the way. So they just subscribe to the trend. They just adopt all these you know, looks and characteristics and styles and trends and yada yada. So is that it?
I don't know. I just think it's it's a bit of a non-issue. You got white people as well. They try to look Asian. You know?
Yeah,
like, 'cause
exactly.
especially now with the whole like Korean wave going on, all that sort of stuff, right?
The K-pop wave? Yeah.
You know, like it's just, I don't think there's too much more than that. I mean, no pun intended, but I think it's just all skin. It's a skin deep issue, really.
Yep, fair enough. All right, shall we end this? All right, thanks for joining us today, Flory.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, thanks for listening, Zero Credibility guys. We out. Bye. Not gonna say anything? Fine.